Hello, what's going on, everybody? It's Ted E. Fame, formerly of Tony Williams Platters. I'm back again with another video podcast. I was supposed to go on. I missed Monday. I was supposed to go on Monday. Monday, I missed it. Got busy. Some things came up, but here I am on Wednesday, on Friday. I'm not sure of the best time to start my streaming my podcast. So I'm fishing with the times, right? So right now I'm doing oh, am I there? Am I there? Hold on a second. I think I'm live. Yeah, I think I'm live. Yeah, I am. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm fishing around with the times that would be best to come on. So right now today this is 6:15 or 6:20 p.m. Uh, Pacific Coast time in LA. So whatever time that is in your time. So we're gonna play around with this timing and see if we can get a good time where more people can will be available to join me. So today I like to talk about well, actually, all what I'm going to be doing is talking about different years because I've been in the Platters with Tony Williams for 10 years, 1982 to 1992. So today I'm gonna be talking about uh, today specifically. I'm going to talk about a Pacific tour and what happened on that tour. But through these podcasts, I'm going to give you all this detailed information about all the things that go on when you go on tour with a famous group and the backstage stuff and the stuff that only the group and band members would be aware of. So this particular show, this is a good one. I like telling this story because this is one that stood out to me because this was probably the first. Was this the first biggest show? Yeah, because we had a few big shows that I was on with the Platters. I think this might have been the first or the second, so I'm going to say it's like the first because I can't remember. No, that the one in LA that was the big one, and the one in Florida was the big one. So this is probably the second biggest show. So this was on Showtime on the cable station Showtime, and it was filmed in 1988 live. It was called Showtime Classic Rock and Roll Reunion. And on that show, Jesus, we must have had about between 15, 20 artists, hit record artists on that show. I think we opened up with Gary U.S. Bonds. We had Benny King, the Coasters, the Drifters, the Platters, us, Jerry Lee Lewis, Bo Diddley, Wilson Pickett, Jesus, Benny King. I mean, I can't remember. It was so many. Leslie Gore, Lou Christie. I mean, it was a star-studded thing. As a matter of fact, that's a show that you can actually still find. Actually, you can find it on my playlist under the Platters. It'll be the Showtime Rock and Roll Classic Reunion show, and I got the whole show from beginning to end. And there was memorable moments. As far as the production was concerned, they had this whole theme of with the dancers and the people dressed up in their 50s outfits. It was like a high school prom. They made it feel like with the artists performing live at the high school prom. It was amazing. And it's on TV, you can see it. And some of the highlights, one of the biggest highlights all of us, all the artists is on the bill. At the end of the show, we did an encore, and we did an encore to Danny and the Juniors because they was on the show too, featuring Joe Terry. They were on the show too. We did "Rock and Roll Is Here to Stay," and the main artist is like took a verse, and it was uh uh everybody that was on the show. It was like the encore. It was amazing. I was on stage standing right next to Jerry Lee Lewis playing the piano and singing it. It was amazing. It was amazing. It's something that I'll never forget. And the crazy thing about it, majority of those people who were on that show are no longer with us. So I got that memory of actually performing with these people, with these legends. And I can actually say I performed with them, not only shared a bill with them, but I performed with them because we did that encore and I got to sing with all of them. So that was amazing. So I want to share this story. This is a great story. So It was filmed. That's why I have a copy. It was filmed for Showtime, so they had to film it for TV. So they had a film crew there. So they had a holding area upstairs above the stage, and they had a spiral staircase that would go backstage, and you would come down to go to to go on stage from where we were holding at. So in that holding area, most of the groups were hanging out, you know, talking to each other. So I got to meet everybody just sitting around kicking it, and so these guys knew each other for years since the '50s. So a lot of them were old friends who haven't seen each other in a long time, and I got to see the interaction with Bo Diddley and Jerry Lee Lewis or Benny King talking, and everybody loved Tony. Everybody acknowledged Tony. Every artist that was on that show came up and acknowledged Tony and introduced themselves to Tony, or you just greeted Tony. Just greeted Tony. It was amazing to see the admiration that Tony had from all these different artists. It was amazing. I really thought it was fantastic. Um, so we all backstage doing our thing, waiting for our turn to come on. The MC would announce who's the next actress, and the program director would send a runner up to get whoever was next and get them ready to go on stage. So here's the story. I can tell this story now because the people who the story is about are no longer with us. So they don't have anything, no shame or anything about it. So I kept this story to myself all these years. So it goes like this. So as I said, we were all hanging out in the holding area waiting for our turn to go on stage. It was a big, gigantic ballroom upstairs. So everybody sitting at these different tables. So I noticed, what's his name? Wilson Pickett and Gary U.S. Bonds were going into the bathroom and coming out laughing and stuff. So I'm no fool. I knew what was going on. They was tooting up. They was up there tooting up like a motherfucker in that bathroom, man. So here's a crazy thing that happened. The act that was on before, I can't even remember who the act that Wilson Pickett followed. When you go back and you watch the video, you will see the act that Wilson Pickett followed. And also look at Wilson Pickett's eyes when you watch that video while he's singing. Look at his eyes, how glossy that was. He was high as fuck. So they came out of the bathroom, and the runner came up and said, "Okay, Wilson, you next. Come on, we need you backstage." Yeah, just came out of the bathroom. The fool had a right under his nose. He had a fucking line of coke. I could tell the story now because they no longer with us. He had just did a hit of coke. He had a little line of coke on his nose, man. And he was about to go on stage on TV, where had if he didn't know and wipe his nose, it would have been on TV seeing that line of clothes. So just before he was going to the stage, while he was walking to the stairs, the spiral stairs that I tell you earlier about, to go down, I grabbed him and said, "Hey, yo, Wilson, 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 yo, wipe your nose, man, wipe your nose." So he did this. Ah, oh, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And I tried to do in his voice because I could remember. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Just like that. It was Wilson Pickett voice. And he wiped it off and made sure he was clean. So you good now. And he goes downstairs. I think the first song he sung was "A Land of a Thousand Dances." And you could see he was high as fuck. He was high as hell. Because he had just did that hit of cocaine, man. And I always wanted to tell that story, but that's a very personal story that while he was alive, I didn't think I should tell because I don't want somebody to see the video and then they question me about it. But this is so long ago. This happened in 1988. This is 2023. Ain't none of those people alive today. None of them. So I could tell the story. I got a lot of stories to tell from that time, especially with Tony and the tours we did. Some good, some bad, and some indifferent, and some in between. But I always wanted to tell that story because that was an amazing night. It was the first time around majority of artists that I knew of, and I knew their music because I knew every one of those acts. I knew their songs. I knew their songs because every one of those acts had hit records. And let me tell you something. These guys were in their later years, because this was 1988. These guys were all from the middle, late 50s, early 60s. So that's when it was at their height, the 1950s and early 60s. So all these guys were in their early middle to late 50s. As a matter of fact, Tony died a few years later in 1992. He was 64. And here's the crazy thing. Take a look at this beautiful face. Last Friday was my birthday. I just turned 50. I just turned 64, the same age as Tony Williams when he passed. And I'm in great health. Great health. Everything's going well for me. I got a new career. I'm retired from singing, at least from touring. Got a new career. I'm an actor now. I've been doing a lot of commercials. I've been doing, well, not a lot. I'm just getting in commercials. Got a commercial agent now. Just did a few. Got a few out there. Did a featured independent short film when I was starring as one of the lead actors. That film is called A Family Divided. And you can find that on YouTube. A Family Divided. And I'm playing Pastor William King. And it's a story about, I'll give you a premise. It's a story about a religious family with a father who's a preacher, a pastor of the church. And he has a large family, a bunch of kids, older adults now because he's up in age. And they all off on doing their own thing. So this is his 30th year of pastoring. So his wife wanted them to have a big family dinner and got all the kids to come home and celebrate his father's 30th year pastoring. And it goes into all the stories about the life of the family and all the ins and outs and all the stuff they went through and the trauma and stuff they going through as a family. So that one night comes together. So it's a great story. It's called A Family Divided. Produced and written by Dorrell Griffin. And like I said, you can find it on YouTube now. So, and I'm just saying that to tell you that I'm doing well, even though all those years are good. I spent 10 years in Platters, and I'm multi-talented. I sing, I got a piano behind me. I play keyboards, and I act and dance. So I was able to move on after I left the Platters and continue my career in the entertainment business up to this day, which I am. Although we're on strike right now, and I haven't worked at all this freaking year, and it's already September, and the strike. No, no, I haven't worked. I did a commercial at the beginning. No, I did the commercial in January. So I did one commercial now. I haven't worked since then. And the strike, I don't know when the strike is going to be over. They said it's supposed to be over at the middle of this month, but let's see. So far, I'm doing okay. I had enough savings to sustain me, hopefully, until the strike is over. But it better be over soon because I'm going to be pinching pennies a bit soon if we don't start working again, or if I don't get some commercial work. And luckily enough, my agent is doing pretty good. I get at least 2 to 3 auditions a week. And now it's up to me. Once the agent gets me the audition, it's up to me to do well in auditions where they chose me as the actor they were using in the commercial. So that's been pretty good. I like that. This is a new challenge, and I'm enjoying the challenge. So I appreciate that. Get it back to Tony. So that night, it was like, and it was in New York. It was in Greenwich Village. I forgot the name of the venue we used to perform to shoot that Showtime show at. But it was great to have that experience, and I have so many. And let me tell you, I got so many experiences similar to that that were so joyful that I want to share with you guys. I will be sharing with you guys in these live videos. I'm going to be doing a lot more live so you guys can have a chance to have a one-on-one with me instead of just putting a video up and watching. I want to get a chance to talk back to some of you Platters fans. I'm sure there's some Platters fans still out there, although the Platters haven't been relevant for 50, 40, 50 years. Their music is still has a lot of following. Their music is still heard on the radio, and it's still got a following that still listens to their music. So I'm sure I'm gonna find eventually a bunch of Platters fans on YouTube that are gonna be appreciative of one of the last members of Tony Williams. And I mean, let me make this clear so you guys don't mistake. I'm not an original member of the Platters. I wasn't even born. I was born in 1959. So I was born at the end of the original Platters formation before Tony left. I think Tony left in 59 or 60. So they had a window of 5 years. From 1955, actually 1954, but they hit in 1955 until 1959. They had a #1 record on the pop charts each year, starting with Only You. You know, one of my favorite songs, and probably the only song I knew about the Platters as a little kid, used to hear on the radio, was "Oh Yes, I'm the Great Pretender, pretending that I'm doing well." I used to love that song, man, to this day. But you know what's crazy? It wasn't until I joined the group that I knew about all those other hit records they had. I didn't know that the Platters had that many hit records. I was amazed. And I mean, those are big, big records uh, that they had out there. So, I feel fortunate because I know this opportunity that I got don't happen all the time. All the time is rare. for a person to get that opportunity. I got to join that group. And I talk about it in other videos. I did my first live and I talked about how I joined the group. And then in my second live, I talked about the first show I did with the Platters, where I got a case of stage fright. So if you want to hear about that story, go back to my second live video. This is my third live video. So first live was about how I joined the group. My second live was about my first show. Now my third live, which is today, I'm going to talk about one of the shows we did. So I got so many stories about so many shows, and I wanted to share this particular show. This one was the Showtime Rock and Roll Classic Reunion. That's the title. And like I said, you can go to my playlist, my channel, which I hope you subscribe to it. Watch this video. If you get a chance to watch this video, I hope you subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and share it, and let other people know that there's a Platters member that's still alive, 64 years old, still alive, that's out here on YouTube, has a YouTube channel, and he's talking about his time working with Tony Williams for 10 years, from 1982 to 1990, until the day he died. I was there at the Waldorf Astoria. I'm going to talk about that story. When we was inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. At that time, there was only 3 members left. That was Zola Taylor, Herb Reed, and Tony Williams. And he died 2 years later. I think that was in 1990 was the induction, and he died in 92. And I was there at the Waldorf Astoria, sitting at the table. I didn't go on stage because the only people that can go on stage were the original Platters. But I was part of Tony's current group at the time, so I was one of the members that went with him to the Waldorf Astoria for his induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So that was a crazy night, seeing all those famous people and those people acknowledge it. Yeah, the thing that really blows my mind is to know that Tony was loved by so many people. And I guess you could say in the era that he came from, his voice was amazing for that time in that era. The thing I understand about music, the music business, is really all about timing. You can be the most talented person or the most least talented person. But if you are promoted at the right time and catch on at the right time, you have a chance to be successful. And if the music is good, you have a chance to becoming famous and remembered. I mean, for Tony to be a star, he was a regular person to me, and here I am working with this guy that for 5 years he was the biggest singer on the planet. From 1955 to 59, there was no singer better than Tony Williams. His voice ruled the airwaves at that time. It was a Platters hit every week. And I ain't say number ones, I said hits. They had so many hits, it was incredible. They had over 20 hits. But the number ones is what I'm talking about. They had 5 number 1 records. That's amazing. You're lucky to get 1 number 1 record. They had 5 of them. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's like a dream come true. Unfortunately for Tony and a lot of other artists like himself, they came around at the beginning of a new era of music. That was partly why they became successful. But because of that, they had no idea about the business of music. So they were not able to reap the rewards and benefits they should have received from the amount of money they generated from record sales. I was fortunate enough to have been able to sit down with Tony at times on these tours. We were just hanging out in the hotel room and just talking, and I would ask him questions. Now, I was 22 years old, so when I joined the Platters. So, and I was 32, 10 years when I left. So I had stars in my eyes. I thought I was going to be a famous singer and be like Tony. So I wasn't so, looking back on it now, I feel kind of like I missed out on opportunity because I wasn't so interested about what he did in the 1950s because that was so long ago and it was a different era. I didn't sit down and really pick his brain and ask him enough questions like I should have asked him. I asked him the basic questions that another artist would want to know about, like what was it like trying to make it in the music business and how did it happen when you finally made it. So he told me his version. Now there's everybody's version. Now you got to remember something. People are going to remember what they want to remember, whether it's accurate or not. It's their memories. So you might dispute, or people might dispute his recollection of what happened. But that's his recollection. And that's his story. If you ask me questions about certain events in my past, I could tell you what I remember. But somebody who was there probably remember it totally different from the way I explained it to you. And then it would be like it would sound like a contradiction. But it's not a contradiction. It's my version of what I remember, like their version of what they remember. So I was questioning some of Tony's answers when I asked him specific questions about during that time. But like I said, that was his recollection. His recollection. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I'll talk about that stuff on later videos. So right now, I'm learning how to do these lives and have enough memorable material to share with you guys. So I got so many here, I don't need a script. I can just sit down and just start talking about it, just telling stories about 10 years of traveling around the world as a member of Tony Williams Platters. And I was lucky enough to join a group in the 80s when there was a revival of that rock and roll and doo-wop music revival. It was around that time when Diana Ross's, when Frankie Lyman's movie Why Do Fools Come In Before Love came out, and Diana Ross had a number one record remake with that song. So that 80s and the Happy Days and all that stuff, so that it was like a revival, or we wanted to relive that 50s era and that music, and a lot of those artists were still alive in the 80s, so it was able to bring that stuff to you. And I was fortunate enough to be able to work with one of the most famous groups in the world for the last few years of the original lead singer, Tony Williams' life. And I was able to share that part and be a part of his life and share those moments with him that I'll never forget. Okay, so you know what? I think this is long enough. I'm gonna be back. What's today? Wednesday. I'll be back on Friday. Let's do this again Friday. So to all you guys out there, all you Platters fans, and all you fans of Teddy fame, I enjoyed this. I hope to share some more stuff with you again. I'm gonna say peace, love. I'll see you again. Bye.